Hey guys, how are we doing? Crypto Insight UK here, bringing you back another YouTube video. So today it's just going to be a short one. I'm going to update you on the liquidity pools, something that we've been discussing for a while. Liquidity pools, obviously, where there are massive areas of interest. That could be people closing out long positions if the liquidity is below us, or short positions if we're above. Prices often moved into these areas by exchanges and whales. It's an area of interest. Exchanges make money when contracts are opened and closed. That's why 80% of the time these liquidity pools do get taken. So that's a quick refresher there for you. Looking at Bitcoin, the main liquidity pool that we've got, as you can see, is about 106K-ish, with a little bit further coming down to about 106,000. This liquidity below, I don't know whether that gets taken or not. There's always some liquidity that gets left behind as people do win positions, but as I said, 80% of the liquidity normally gets taken. So, looking at this, what we could say is that Bitcoin probably does sweep these lows at some point, and seeing as all this liquidity here, if we lose pretty much the level we're at now, I think that you could see quite a sharp decline into that liquidity. I personally do think, based on some of the information we got yesterday, such as the jobs report, that we're going to see obviously 25 basis point cut on the 16th, 17th September when that comes, potentially towards more dovish verbiage from the Fed, with a potential 50% basis point cut in this meeting. Now, I don't think that is the base case, but I think what we're going to see is a much looser Fed, because what they're seeing is lack of jobs, lack of growth, and inflation not being as high as what they expected. So I think that there's not a lot of argument to say why they wouldn't keep cutting here. I do think that a lot of the jobs are being taken by AI, and I think that trend will continue. So I think, realistically, if you're America right now, what you should be aiming for is loose monetary policy to try and stimulate as much growth as possible before AI comes through and continues to eat away at those jobs. Because I think AI will bring the productivity. So I think that if I was in the US government, I'd be like, or any government realistically, I'd be like, look, let's stimulate a lot. If AI is what we think it's going to be, then it's probably going to come and help with productivity. Let's boom into that and see if we can take the lead with this. And also, obviously, that would probably create opportunities in areas like the blockchain as well. And you want to be embracing that as well if you're a forward-looking country, in my opinion. So this is Bitcoin. Then we'll look at ETH. ETH also has liquidity below us. It's something else we've been discussing. ETH is like knocking on the door to this liquidity. Again, I think this probably gets taken sooner rather than later. Realistically, for ETH, if we lose the lows of like 4255, at the minute we're at 49. No, we're at 429 right now. If we lose just like a couple of percent lower, not even percent, it's like tiny amount. 1% lower, then we probably come down into this first area of liquidity, is about 3.5%. Then the main area of liquidity, about 6.7%. And there's an argument to say we could come as far down as 9 to 10% here for ETH, which I don't think is an awful flush down, but I do think this liquidity gets taken. What you'll have to remember is, as soon as this red is taken, then the main area of liquidity is then going to be above us. And this is what I think is going to happen. So I'm showing you this downside price action first. And I think that it gets taken. This is going to show you Doge, and I'm going to show you XRP. I think the downside gets swept, and then we probably quite quickly head back to the upside. Because as I've just laid out, I think the macro is set up for us to start heading higher. And I go much deeper into why I think this in the newsletter that is out in just a few hours from now, the Saturday's newsletter. So Doge has this massive area of liquidity at around 20 cent. I'm almost positive that this gets taken for Doge at some point before we head up. And then I think Doge is going to rip and roar, because I can show you some Doge charts if you're interested. Could come potentially down to the 18 cent level. 19 cent looks pretty likely. At 20 cent, I'm pretty positive on that. Whereas XRP doesn't look the same unless something's changed today. I haven't checked it this morning, but it hasn't been looking the same. XRP has some orange liquidity below us. Actually, it has changed. Oh, no, it hasn't. I was going to say the liquidity above us has changed, but this has actually got stronger, so it has changed in a way. It's like, I do think that XRP may wick these lows, especially if the whole market does. But then I'm going to show you XRP ETH in a minute, which could have a bit of a counter argument. Let's say XRP comes down 5%, ETH maybe comes down 9%. And then from that level, if we go down from here, there's quite a strong argument to say that XRP could rally to 340-ish, and then obviously higher than that, should this move progress, which is what I think will happen. Quickly take you to the daily now, and we'll just go back through all those altcoins, and then I'll finish this video by wrapping up a little bit of XRP that I'm looking at, and go more in depth on my newsletter, as I said. So this is where the main liquidity sits for XRP, up towards 420 on the daily, and I think that as soon as we just wick these lows that I've just shown you, then I think we probably quite quickly head back to the upside, because this is where the main liquidity is sitting, and it works just the same way as it does below. Like if there's dense liquidity above us, that's probably where we head. If we look at Dogecoin, I'll take it on the daily on Dogecoin as well. Let it load. Yes, we have some liquidity below, but it's no way near as dense as that above. If this is loading. We do have liquidity down here, look, at 18 cent-ish for Doge. So this is the discussion that I was making, that we could take this 18 cent. But then if we zoom out and actually look where the dense liquidity is sitting, it's all the way up here at 29 cent. So I do think it's quite probable that we maybe dip into this area, maybe we wick this liquidity out, and then we rip it up towards 29, 30 cent plus. And then I think we go significantly higher there for Doge after that. For ETH, unless things have changed since I last looked on the daily look, we are starting to build some more dense liquidity, or the most dense liquidity in the region above us, up at about 5,150. Or we could see that down at 3,000. I don't think we correct anywhere near that low, because I think we're going to start trending bullish again soon, as I said, with the macro setup, which I get into more in the newsletter. Bitcoin, again, the main pools of liquidity are above us. Probably starts to move up towards 144k plus-ish after we take the 106 liquidity, which I think is, as I said, inevitable. Now, we'll quickly look at XRP against ETH. As I've said, I do think that this is the potential for a reversal here for XRP against ETH back to the upside. We've been looking on the 4-hour, and what we've been saying is what we've seen are higher lows, or a low, then a higher low, and then a higher high. I think my laptop's frozen, which is great. Let's see if we can reload this. Oh, here we go. It has frozen. Come on, laptop, you can do it. And we're on Bitcoin dominance for some reason. We can test that in 1 second, but let's just get back to XRP against ETH. Just quickly finish off this video. If we get us to the 4-hour. Doesn't like this for some reason. Here we go. So look, we put the lows in with what we've seen on these lows is we've got bullish divergence here, the lower low, and a higher low on the RSI, and then we've got another low and higher low on the RSI with equal to slightly lower lows here. And on that low, that is the low that I've said, and then we put in a high there, and we put in a higher low, and so far are grinding, looking to see if we can make a higher high, which I've questioned here. And if we look on the daily time frame, we broke and held like a close above the recent swing high. We've then come down, held the same sort of area-ish on the lows, and looking to see if XRP can start marching up against ETH here, which could make sense when we look at the liquidity pools as well and say, look, structurally XRP could be looking a little bit different here. So that's about all I've got for you today. I said I'd quickly check on Bitcoin dominance because that did load, but there's nothing really to report on Bitcoin dominance. We've said, look, I think these are continuation patterns. Bitcoin dominance is potentially going to test that in the next few days, whether that theory is correct. Could break out and continue a little bit higher here, or could continue to the downside. I think that while we're still in this pattern, this continuation pattern, even though I've seen a lot of people, including Cohen, saying that they think that Bitcoin dominance is going to rally, we see the RSI's pushed up quite a lot, yet structure has basically stayed the same. Let's see if Bitcoin does get this push to the upside. I do think for the market in general that short-term flush is going to come sooner. The sooner it comes, the better, because if we just chop around above it, there's always the concern that it's going to come. Yeah, if we just flush down there, take that liquidity out, then there's nothing stopping me from saying, look, it's full bull mode ahead. So that's basically where I am right now with the markets generally. The last thing I was going to touch on is gold, but I'm going to leave that because I went in depth on that in the newsletter. So I think you'll enjoy that. If you enjoyed the video, guys, please do hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If you've got any questions, please let me know in the comments section, and do share it with a friend. I remember nothing I say is financial advice, but if you want to trade on any leverage, you can try my links to WeX and MEXC in the description below, both non-KYC exchanges, and you can add them to your portfolio of exchanges. If you want to, I have probably signed up for like 10, 12 exchanges. I think that's probably quite a good thing to do because throughout the history of like bull markets, Some exchanges get like congestion and all these sorts of things when you're looking to cash out or take profits on trades and these sorts of things. So it's good to have a variety of those. Peace up, A-Town down, as Crypto Insight UK would say.